So you live in Australia and you've been considering the PlayStation Portal. Now, in this video, I'm going to help you understand what the experience is like for us Aussies, who I think this is for, and ultimately if you should pick this up for yourself. So the PlayStation Portal is basically a remote player that allows you to connect up remotely with your PS5. Now, you can't play any PS5 games or PS4 games using this standalone system here. You physically have to have a PlayStation 5 and it has to be powered on for you to be able to run all of your games that you're looking to play on your PlayStation Portal. Now, with that being said, I could be located somewhere else. So in some of my tests, I was at my mum's house, took the PlayStation Portal with me, connected up to her Wi-Fi, and was able to access the PS5 that was a couple of suburbs away and able to play pretty flawlessly on her network. Now, you've got to keep in mind though, it really is dependent on what your Wi-Fi connection's like, how many people are going to be using the Wi-Fi network as well, because if you've got a bunch of people on it, it's potentially going to interfere with the experience of the PlayStation Portal. So to put this into context, I'm doing a quick little speed test on my phone here, just to let you know what my Wi-Fi speeds are like, just so you can put it into context for your experience. So I'm getting 52.8 megabits per second for the download speed and 14.1 megabits per second for the upload speed. So pretty decent internet. I do find that a lot of the time it doesn't seem to be as stable as what I'm getting with my speed tests, but I'm running Helldivers 2 right now. The PS5 is downstairs. It's pretty much directly below me from where I'm based. And honestly, in an ideal scenario, which is most of the time for me when I'm just upstairs in the office, it seems to run flawlessly. Occasionally, if I go into the bedroom, for example, and I want to lay in the bed and play, it's fine most of the time. Occasionally it can drop out. And I do have some videos of me walking around, testing out the range of the PlayStation Portal. But once you've settled, and as long as you don't have a bunch of people using the network, this experience is great. It really is amazing when it works. You do get an 8-inch LCD display, which is gorgeous. You get basically a DualSense controller extended. So you get the adaptive triggers, you get all of the haptic feedback and all the vibrations that you would get from your DualSense controller. So if you go from playing on the PS5 to then grabbing the Portal and going somewhere else, it's going to be the same experience. As long as the game supports it, it's not going to be an issue. And I find that in all of the tests I've been doing, I've been playing Helldivers 2, I've been playing Spider-Man 2, the finals as well as another one that I've been playing. I find that all of those games seem to support the DualSense controller perfectly when I come across to the Portal. The speakers on this are phenomenal, so you can just have it playing quietly in the background. That seems to work great as well. If you want to go upstairs and have your own space while someone else is doing something in the house, it allows you to play your PS5 while you're in bed, at your desk, whatever it may be, as long as it's got that stable Wi-Fi connection and as long as you can power on the PS5 remotely. If there's a power cut and the PS5 doesn't turn on, for example, you won't be able to force the manual startup process. But as long as it's in that rest mode where you can just power it on at all times, then it's just going to be able to jump straight into a game, and it really is flawless. When it works, it's such a fun experience. I will say the weight of the system though is one thing that I've noticed. I find that from extended periods of playtime, it's typically when I'm laying down though, and when the weight of the system's there, and also because it is a stretched out design, even though it's the DualSense controller, you're also holding onto the weight of the screen. And that was the first thing I noticed about this system. It weighs a little bit more than I thought. I find this to kind of be like a complementary accessory, because you might go from a gaming session on the couch, someone might come home and they might want to jump on the TV. You can just grab the Portal, take off from where you left off and have your own space. That's where this really excels. And I guess you've just got to think about the application for yourself. When would you be using this? Why would you be using this? Do you really need it? Because it's probably just not for a lot of people that are watching this video. I think if you've got the extra funds and you do thoroughly enjoy your PS5 and you want that portable experience, this is the one to go for, because it really is designed from the ground up to feel like a DualSense controller. It feels like Sony have put a lot of love into it. The stability of the experience is great as long as you're not moving around too much, as long as too many people aren't on the network. I find the actual speakers themselves are pretty amazing. I find that they seem to be very consistent. The gorgeous 8-inch display, like I said before, is a 1080p display. You can get up to 60 frames per second as long as the game is supporting that, and it is flawless in, again, most situations. I can't say a blanket rule that it's amazing all the time, because there are times that frames do drop. There are times that the quality drops to deal with the streaming. There are times that it completely freezes up on you, and that has happened happened to me in a few instances. I found that when I went over to the 5G, that's where it's a flawless experience. Great with light on the display as well. I find that the screen itself is extremely vibrant and bright. You do have some touch controls. They're very limited, and I find that they can be a little bit fiddly actually. You kind of got these boxes that pop up on the screen. In most situations, you have to kind of like double tap it to enable the map or to enable the menu. It's a little bit of a fiddly option. With Spider-Man 2, for example, there's some swiping gestures. So you swipe up to enable the camera, swipe down to disable it. So those can be a little bit fiddly. I find that it works in most scenarios, but just keep that in mind, right? Like there's a few little limitations of this device, and there are definitely a lot of people out there that just don't need this. And also a lot of people who probably don't even have the network connection. You probably don't have the right internet speeds to be able to stream something like this, but it is amazing for someone like me, someone who play the PS5 downstairs with the TV, but if I want to play some games in between clients, I might just want to sit up here on the desk. You definitely don't want this to be your like main system. You definitely don't want to rely on this for some intense like FPS games or anything that really does require a lot of focus and attention and consistent battery life, huge gaming sessions. That's where it's kind of limited here, but it's got everything you need. It's even got the option to disable and enable the microphone. So you can literally just play it like this and it's going to be relatively stable. And it's not a cheap device, so it's definitely not for everyone. But if you think that you're tempted to get it, if you've been considering it for your type of play style, then I think it's something to consider, because I find that when I'm playing on the Portal, the experience is fun every single time. The experience is flawless, I would say 85-90% of the time. There's a few moments where it drops out, a few moments where it's a little stuttery, but when it's working, and it's such a fun experience. It really is just the PlayStation experience, the DualSense experience with a huge 8-inch display. The display is the standout. The control is the standout. The fact that you get the DualSense with all the feedback, the adaptive triggers, all of that stuff, it just makes the experience great, and it makes it a nice transition from playing on the TV to playing on your portable device. And that's something that you can't get anywhere else. There are a bunch of other remote play options. There's a bunch of alternatives out there, but to get that true PlayStation 5 experience, the PlayStation Portal is the one to get. I would love to see some improvements. Battery life is a big one I'd like to see. The touch displays on the screen are a little bit weird, bit hit and miss. I would like to see a different way of interacting with that, and maybe just a little bit more of a stable, consistent experience, because like I said, 85-90% of the time it's fine. The others, it can just fail on me and I can be in the exact same location, no one's on the network, and it can just all of a sudden start to be sluggish. That's something that is a little bit inexcusable for the price point that you're paying for this. So just keep all these things in mind. You know, this isn't for everyone, but it definitely is something that's amazing when it works. So hopefully this helps. I'll chat to you very soon in the next video, and I hope you have an amazing day. Peace.